This slideshow is going to focus on Akawatuka National Park in Canada. It's going to focus on the resource management side of it. So, history of the park. The park is one of Canada's younger national parks. It was established in 1976 and consists of 19,000 kilometers of land. The land consists of glaciers that are protected by the park. The park is located in the eastern Arctic on Baffin Island's Cumberland Peninsula, almost entirely within the Arctic Circle. The park also includes the highest peaks on the Canadian Shield, with shoreline that runs along the fjords in the Ashuapunk Pass. The park was created to protect the land that started to become an area of tourism due to the area's perfect environment that gave good conditions for skiing, hiking, experiencing the Arctic. The unique part of the park is that it is not only run by Parks Canada, but by Inuit people due to the Inuit Impact and Benefit Agreement of Inuviatuk and Isliq National Park. So now we're going to talk a bit about accessibility in the park. Sea ice and river conditions vary from year to year, affecting when the park is accessible and when certain activities are possible. Visitors should contact the park early before planning a trip. Owutuk becomes accessible when the sea ice becomes unsafe for travel during breakup, usually in May or early June, depending on the year. The park becomes accessible again by boat in June or July, which marks the start of hiking season. So, some of the park's vision. The park has cooperative management by Parks Canada and Inuit population in the area. Two areas of focus are working with Inuit communities to allow the park to meet their needs and to gain cultural and environmental knowledge of the region to share the knowledge with those visiting the park. So the idea is to take an idea of the culture and bring it into the park and educate people that are visiting the park. So some geological characteristics. The park is located in Nunavut in the Arctic archipelagos. The landforms were a result of erosion of one of the great ice sheets that covered Canada 18,000 years ago. Most of the ice is gone now, but some areas of the park are covered year-round by ice. The park runs into the eastern edge of the Canadian Shield, therefore the park is made up of mountain spines that slope away into plateaus. The park also has the Great Plains of Knutsuk, which is a strip of flat grass marshlands. Also, the park has bluffs that drop off the coast into freshwater or seawater. I'm going to quickly go over the ecology of the park. So the park landscape consists of moraines, circles, and sand deposits, perched boulders, and scree slopes. So these were all created by the erosion of moving glaciers. So this causes the landscape to be really beautiful and have a unique look to it. The park is also home to perched boulders that were moved there by glaciers and now sit in odd areas. So this was all created by glaciers, and it attracts a lot of people because it's so unique, such a unique landscape. So some of the wildlife in the park. The park is home to 8 species of terrestrial mammals, 6 species of and 6 species of marine animals. The terrestrial animals are the ones that live on the land. The park is home to the leming, Arctic hare, Arctic fox, bear and ground caribou, and ermine. All these animals share characteristics of thick fur, ability to migrate for food as it's very harsh conditions. Some of the marine wildlife include polar bears, seals, narwhals, and beluga whales. One endangered species that is in the park is the polar bear. So the polar bear within the park, their population is diminishing for 2 reasons. The first reason is that they're moving south to get food, as in there isn't enough available in that area. So they're moving into Manitoba, which is causing a hazard for that community. And the second reason is the bears are not able to collect enough food in the winter months to sustain themselves through the summer due to the early melting ice sheets. The park is trying to provide an area for them where they cannot be hunted or killed, so they're trying to bring up the population. Some of the recreation opportunities within the park include biking, skiing, backpacking, hiking, and camping. The natural beauty and rare northern landscape attracts many tourists from all over. It also consists of cold conditions as it's in the Arctic, so people are recommended that they know what they're doing, especially in terms of backpacking and hiking. Another opportunity is dog sledding. In the winter, frozen waters draws locals and tourists for dog sledding. With the park being so remote in the winter, most efficient way to travel is by dog sledding. So visitors wishing enter the park must do so by registering at one of the close towns and going to an orientation where they learn the dangers of the park. So some of the prohibited activities include hunting, as it's protected land. Also, snowmobiling is they try to restrict it, but sometimes it's the only way and most efficient way to transport people. So ecosystem specifics. So the national park has adopted the idea of allowing the park to be used by different recreationists, but putting environmental needs first. The staff at the park take a holistic view on things as they look at the communities that surround the park, the tourists that use the park, and the environmental concerns within the park. The park is able to take in each factor to form a park that is used but preserves the culture of the area and conserves the natural environment. Conservation and preservation. So the park focuses on conservation and preservation of the area. The park does not face such challenges like development, but the park still focuses on conservation of the land as they want people to be able to come and use the landscape, but they want to conserve the natural beauty. The park focuses for conservation is limited to the use of off-road vehicles and promoting an LNT policy, which means leave no trace. National Park Act also played a large role as it emphasized the conservation and ethical respect for the environment to be a park's main priority. So I'm gonna quickly review some of the major social impacts. So in terms of the park, the only big problem is the development, as it's such a remote area, and certain towns were concerned with like all these recreationists coming in, as they didn't want to affect the town, and they didn't want it to be overcrowded. And some that has happened. Some like the locals don't have the facilities because there's so many recreations coming into this very small community to use their facilities. So major environmental impacts, I'm quickly going to go over this one as well. The one impact that the park has on the environment is the impact of bringing people into the area, as it was such a remote area before and people travel on that land. But people come in, they camp there, they leave things behind, they bring foreign objects into an environment that has a very unique ecosystem. So that's one issue that the park's trying to manage. As a result, the park is to blame for this as they increase the number of people that are coming into there, and they also increase the transportation that is needed to bring those people in as well. So I picked the VERP framework. For the management side of the park, I have decided the VERP framework would work best. I think this really related to the park as it relates to the issue that are arising in the park. Such issues are the effect of the remote area on the visitor experience, as it is so remote, so it's dangerous at times. Another issue is that because it is such a delicate landscape but a popular destination for tourists, it is natural beauty, resource protection is development issues, so what they should develop, what they shouldn't. I'm going to quickly go over carrying capacity. So carrying capacity is the amount of wildlife and human activity that an environment can sustain. In terms of the park, they understand that the carrying capacity is very important in terms of tourists, as it can have a horrible effect on the environment. Due to the fact that the park is such a remote area, the park is able to control the number of tourists, as they have to register and they have to be transported in. So it's really easy for them to see who is and who isn't at the park, as they're responsible for everyone coming in and out of the park. I'm just going to quickly skim over the impacts and go into improvements. So the park's main area of focus is in terms of improvement is the local culture. So they want to really emphasize the culture background of where they are and the importance of the community around them. Park attempts to get locals involved. Also, they want to emphasize the importance of the environment. As mentioned before, they follow the leave no trace. And another issue that they can improve on is the safety of visitors. It's such a remote area, just controlling everyone's safety and seeing their ability and if they're able to survive out there, as it is so remote and hard to get help. So some recommendations is promote local involvement, more monitoring and wildlife of the park, so helping endangered species, limit environmental impacts, so really push on leave no trace, and improve recreational facilities at the park so it is safer. People that are out there, they don't have to worry if something does go wrong. There is an opportunity to get help. So for management strategies, by implementing the follow strategies, the hope is that the natural ecosystem in the northern landscape will not be impacted by the many tourists and visitors that are using the land. The main focus is involving community in all decisions in the park that that the park is making, because these people call this land home, um, and we want to integrate the culture into the park. The idea is to restore cultural ties with the park while promoting the preservation of a unique landscape and ecosystem. I'm going to quickly mention the goals. I mentioned these earlier. So the goals of the park are, number one, to engage communities. So they really want to get the community involved in protecting the ecosystem. And number two is gathering, sharing knowledge to build connection to the place. So they want to build a cultural connection to the place as well as involving the locals. So my conclusion is that the national park has a unique landscape that offers not only different recreation activities but also an opportunity to see the natural beauty of the Arctic landscape. The hope is that the park will continue to maintain high levels of service by meeting the needs of the community, environment, and the recreationists that use the land. I hope that my management plan will help further extend Aquatook National Park, therefore making the area available for future generations to enjoy.